Welcome back, sexy motherfuckers. God does not play dice with the universe. This is what Einstein said. What does it mean? It means that nothing happens by accident. Everything happens for a reason. Even Einstein said that. So the fact that you're watching this video today, it's no mere coincidence. God and the universe put this video in front of your very eyes because you're going through some challenges, you need some answers, and by this end of the video, if you listen carefully and you listen to the esoteric layers under each word that I say, you may actually discover the hidden missing puzzle piece that you need to get to the next level and transcend the challenges that you're currently going through today. So let's get right into it. First, it's important to remind yourself that you are not a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. What do we mean by that? It literally means that this was you before you decided to incarnate in this third dimensional realm. You literally were limitless. You were the limitless soul that you were in the soul plane. Okay? Basically one with infinity. Now I know our monkey mind 3D material brain has a very hard time to conceptualize what actually it means to be limitless, what actually it means to be part with infinity. But you were once that. And what happened is that you, on your own free will, decided to lower your vibration, right? Lower your vibration to incarnate into this very dense 3D material world, into a bioenergetic body we call the human body. Okay? Energetic, energy, bioenergy body, basically. Now, you may ask yourself, why the fuck would I be so dumb to go from fucking limitless with infinity and one with God to a 3D very dense body? Well, the question, or the answer rather, is quite simple. The same way that you read a book and it inspires you, the same way it gives you the want to experience the same thing that the hero has experienced in the book. What do I mean by that? You decided to incarnate into this 3D realm to learn, but most importantly, to experience God's work, or the infinity's work, or the universe's work. Experience life, experience the work. Because it's one thing to read about strawberries, one thing to speculate about strawberries, one thing to intellectually masturbate about strawberries. It's another to eat it and feel the sensations in your mouth. It's the experience which is completely different. So it's the same thing with you. You decided to go from an all-knowing being to a being who purposefully forgot about its primarily existence. This is why you forget about who you were in past life. This is what we forget. We tend to forget from 0 to 3 years old, our lives, and to be able to fully immerse yourself into this three-dimensional realm. Because think about it. If you already knew all your past lives, all your parallel lives, all your potential, would you really be wanting to live life when you know that you have your true life or your true self is actually limitless and have a bunch more infinitely more interesting things happening in your real life? You wouldn't be able to focus on the 3D because your plane of reference would have been so high. With that perspective, it would be impossible to enjoy the 3D realm. It would be impossible for you to go to your 9 to 5 every single day. If you know that you're one with God, why the fuck would you submit yourself to your boss, for instance? It doesn't make sense. Or for a mere paycheck, exchanging your time, which is your most precious asset, to some random dollars. It doesn't make sense, right? So this is why you forgot. This is why amnesia is purposeful. Okay, it has a purpose. It's a purposeful amnesia. So it's like this, right? Purposeful amnesia. This is why you seem to be lost. This is why you seem to be disconnected to God. But you're never disconnected to God, because if you haven't watched the video where I speak about God's omnipotence, the 3 pillars of God, that God is omniscient, God is omnipotent, and God is everywhere, omnipresent, well, you then understand that by his omnipresence, he's outside of you everywhere and also inside of you. And this is what they've proven in quantum physics with quantum entanglement. Every single particle, every single vibration of the universe is linked together. So you're never really truly disconnected from the world, you're never really truly disconnected from the divine, and therefore God in of itself. It's just a matter of getting a higher level of awareness and a higher perspective to be able to tap and build that relationship back up with God. Now, all of this to say that if there's one thing that we all know about this 3D realm is that it's filled with pain and suffering. So it really seems that this third dimensional realm is literally designed for us to suffer, for us to have some pain. But at the end of the day, do we really learn when we're filled with comfort, when everything is rosy daisy and everything is sunshine and rainbow? No, we don't. We only learn when there's pain and when there's suffering. The greatest depth of the struggle will create the biggest breakthrough in your life. This is why we suffer. This is why you have bad days. Now, coming back to the soul plane. Before this purposeful amnesia, what happened was you commonly accepted and commonly conceptualized in the human terms, you decided of a soul's contract. Soul's contract. Now, what is really the soul's contract? Well, it's going to be the family in which you incarnate in. It's going to be the traumas that you decided to go through, again, because without pain you don't learn. The experiences that you're going to do, and the events or the people, certain types of people and other souls that you're going to meet. All of this happens for a reason. And that's why you forget. It's the same thing as a video game. If we took like the analogy of a video game, right? Let's say you play, I don't know, GTA 5, for instance, right? You start off with $0 in the bank account, 0 weapons, right? 0 weapons, and 0 reputation, right? Why? Because it's actually the experience, the learning, and the growth throughout the game that is the most important part. And it's the same thing with you. Before you forgot, you were wanting to basically design the rules of the game. You literally chose your own game. Your soul's contract could be seen as which game you want to incarnate in into this context, which is planet Earth, into this third dimensional realm, which is the material realm, which is the material dimension. So your soul's contract can literally be the type of game or PlayStation game or Xbox game that you want to incarnate in. Because remember, the family will obviously determine where you're starting from geographically, with what type of talents, what type of genetical heritage you have, what type of strength, appearance you have, what type of heights you have. So literally the baseline of kind of like the race in a video game, for instance, right? Are you going to be a lizard? Are you going to be a soldier? Or are you going to be whatever? That's kind of like your family. Then the traumas is going to be, okay, the starting points of I would say the psychological environment, because obviously your traumas that you're going to go through during childhood, during the beginning of your part of your life, are going to determine your psychology, right? Obviously, your psychology. So this is kind of like your basically your genetical heritage. Heritage. This is your psychology. So this literally could be, let's say, for instance, in a video game, the equivalent would be the type of character, the physical character that you get in the video game. The psychology could be typically like the class, right? The class with, are you a wizard? That could be seen like as the class. Are you a ranger? Are you a soldier? Whatever it is, because your psychology ultimately determines your belief systems, and therefore your belief system determines what you see in the world, what you perceive in the world, and how you operate in the world. Then your experiences literally could be seen as what type of, weapons, right? Weapons you gather throughout the day. And then the events would be what type of alliances, right? Alliances alliances that you play in the game, for instance, right? Because the events, naturally events are fueled by people, the type of people that you meet, etc., etc., etc. Obviously, those are interchangeable, but you get the point. Literally, the soul's contract is kind of like the video game in which you decide to incarnate in, okay? Now, from this perspective already, you can understand how powerful this can be for your life. Because at the end of the day, the more you see life as a game, the easier it's going to be for you to transcend your challenges, for you to enjoy life, instead of just being a slave and a victim of life. And I see too many people nowadays being victims of life, right, Olivier?
For sure.
For sure. There's so many people, but yeah, by the way, Olivier is behind the camera. There's so many people that are too much victims of circumstances because they do not understand that everything happens for a reason. Why do you think that some of the greatest geniuses of humanity all said that nothing happens by accident? By the way, another very much high IQ genius, which his name was Paul Descartes, he at first was an atheist because the more you get to normal science, the more you get far away from spirituality and from God. But at the highest level, by the end of his days, he basically said that God is the highest of mathematicians because everything is intersected and very much done on purpose. And basically this soul's contract is going to determine mainly the starting points and the global direction of your life, aka the type of game that you want to play. Okay, very important. The type of game, quote unquote, the type of game that you want to play. That's the game to play. Now, obviously, you may say, okay, but what about free will? Well, again, this is kind of like the destiny aspect of things. The free will aspect of things is what do you do with that genetical heritage, that psychology, those experiences, the events, etc., etc., etc. What do you do with all of this? You can either go the wrong path, right, the evil path, or you can go the right path. Use those suffering and to be able to transcend that. And really and truly, your soul has decided mainly to incarnate into this third dimensional realm to transcend all the challenges. Have you not noticed? This is something that is very close to my heart. Let's really do just like one drawing just for that. Guys, have you noticed? Why do you think, like, I think it was Einstein who said that as well. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is insanity. I think it was Einstein who said that. But have you noticed that life tends to be cyclical? Life tends to be cyclical. And the only way to not feel like every single year, even every single 6 months, you're reliving the same problems and the same life over and over again, problems, right? You seem to live the same problems, the same issues with people, the same struggles, right? You seem to live constantly the same thing over and over again. And the only way out of this quote-unquote hellhole is to transcend those challenges. It's not by fighting them, and it's not by trying to destroy them, right? It's not by doing this. It's actually by transcending them. Why is it so crucial to understand? Because at the end of the day, this world is mere energy, vibration, and frequency. It's only vibration and frequency, only energy. And those problems, those issues, and those struggles, they're only struggles, issues, and problems because they create some kind of negative emotion into your heart. If a problem would not create any negative emotion, it wouldn't be a problem. If some people wouldn't irritate you or frustrate you, it wouldn't be an issue. Or if you didn't ache mentally or emotionally, it wouldn't even be a struggle. So the fact that it's considered a problem, an issue, or a struggle is basically because it lowers your vibration, or it creates a low vibration in your heart, a low emotion. Because emotion, again, as a reminder, Emotion. It's emotion. What does that mean? Emotion. It means energy, right? In movement, basically. In motion, in movement. That's literally what an emotion is. An emotion is energy in movement. So that means what? If it's a problem, it's a bad emotion. So that means it's a bad energy in movement. It means that it's an energy that you do not use productively, or you don't transcend, or you don't transmute it. But it's still energy. So the way you remove the problem, again, because a problem only exists because of the associated negative emotion, right? Is by removing the negative emotion. But can you remove negative emotion with logic? No, you can't. The only way to remove a negative emotion is to fight it back with a positive emotion and a positive vibration. That's the only way you actually remove the problems, the issues, and the struggles, right? That's the only way. So what does it mean? It means that when, for instance, you're feeling some kind of, let's say, shame about a problem, right? Which is a very, very low vibration on the map of consciousness. Well, you need to understand that the polar opposite of shame is, let's say, for instance, healthy pride, right? Healthy pride. But shame and pride, by the law of polarity, it's the same energy, okay? It's absolutely the same energy. The difference between shame and pride, right? Because those are one energy but in different movements. What does it mean? If it's one energy in movement here, one energy in movement, but it's the same energy by the law of polarity, because polarity basically says that the opposite are the same thing. Okay, just as a reminder, guys, the law of polarity states that opposites are the same. And obviously, with our human mind, it's quite hard to conceptualize, but now you see why. You're going to see why. Opposites are equal. Okay? That's why. I'm going to tell you exactly why. Shame and pride, it's actually the same energy, but in different movements. Okay? So, we just need to shift the direction of the movement from the shame to pride. And so, the only way to change shame into pride and to therefore remove the associated problems, issues, and struggles is to transcend it. And what does it mean to transcend it? It literally means to raise the vibration of this energy for it to be in the right movement, meaning pride. And how do you do that? Well, you just identify the opposite emotion, the opposite energy of pride, of shame, which is pride. And therefore, what you need to do is just focus on feeling pride. That's how you transcend shame. That's how you transcend the problem associated with the shame, or the shame associated with the problem, the struggle associated with the shame, or the shame associated with the struggle, and the issue associated with the shame, or the shame associated with the issue. That's how you transcend your problems, your issues, and your struggles. You cannot transcend problems, issues, and struggle with logic. If you've tried to do that over and over again, it keeps coming back. You've noticed that. You seem to be stuck in a time loop, right? You seem to be stuck in a time loop, and it keeps coming back over and over and over again, because your soul wants to ascend, wants to experience, and wants to elevate itself, elevate its consciousness. Everything that permeates the universe is consciousness. If you haven't watched my video about how to unlock your God income, highly recommend you do that after this one. But I basically demonstrated that everything is mere consciousness. Even atom on the atomic level and under that is consciousness. When you look at atoms, some atoms work together and some atoms don't, is simply because they have a tiny version of consciousness that allows them to create certain molecules or not. Okay? Why do you think that everything vibrates and this universe, all the atoms, all the particles vibrates, but still this universe is not exploding in billions of explosions? Well, because there is a certain force, which is intelligence, which is consciousness, that permeates the entire universe, which is the God force, and a synonym for the God force, that makes everything survive and everything basically stable, okay? That's also what we call the law of energetical equilibrium. All of this to say that for you to be able to transcend your problems, issues, and struggles, you need to fight emotion with emotion, vibration with a higher level of vibration. So, why did I spoke about this? Well, simply because at any point in time, anybody in the human experience, whether they're a multi-billionaire, whether they're a multimillionaire, whether they're a millionaire, whether they're broke, whether they're a chef, whether it's a girl, whether it's a man, everyone, absolutely everyone in their lives knows or has experienced struggle and pain. Okay? Struggle and pain. I nearly don't have any black left. And pain. Okay? Struggle and pain. Now, why is this important to understand? Well, if everybody, absolutely everybody has had some struggle and pain, even the rich kids, even the guys who have been born into rich families with inheritance and stuff like that, they are struggling. A lot of them are struggling with drug addiction, and a lot of them are struggling with the pain of not being as good as their fathers or not having any purpose. So everybody, it's part of the human experience. By definition, please note it down, it's extremely important. By definition, the human experience has pain and suffering inside of it. Pain and suffering, okay? By definition. Now, this is not to be for you to develop a morbid belief system and perspective about life. No, it's just to tell you that if the human experience, everybody in the human experience is suffering or has had some kind of experience with pain and suffering, then it means it's the norm, not the exception. Okay, it's the norm. And again, remember, all the geniuses knew the spiritual texts of the old, the study of NDE, near-death experiences, people who have died, who came back and reported back what they've learned from the higher dimensions, all said that nothing happens by accident, okay? You knew, I'm sure you know, but if the universe would be slightly more dense or less dense, everything would fall apart. There is such a precise beauty, mathematical beauty in nature that everything is carefully designed for our enjoyment, like a video game, like a universe in a video game, okay? And you know that if one line of code in a video game doesn't work and is faulty, the entire game doesn't work anymore. The entire game crashes. And it's the same thing with life. Only one comma that wouldn't be placed in the right code fucks up the entire code, right? You have your lines of code, and if you have one comma which shouldn't be there, then it crashes the entire code. You know this. It's the same thing with life. Everything in life is carefully designed for it to work flawlessly. So understand that everything happens for a reason. And if everything happens for a reason, and that everybody has in the human experience some kind of pain and suffering in their lives, then it's the norm, not the it's the norm, not the fucking hell. It's the norm, not the exception. Okay? So, that means what? That means that you can chill down because pain and suffering is normal. Why is it normal? Why in the human experience do we have pains and suffering? I'm going to tell you exactly why. And for that, I'll give you 3 drawings of nature that will literally tell you how to go about life. How to go about life, and I'm going to link it back to 3 hermetic laws of the universe that the ancient Egyptians and even before that discovered. Is it clear so far, Olivier? Yeah? Perfect. So, number 1, we're going to go to Okay, so I'm going to give you three very easy drawings. Okay, number one. And number three. Cool. So that's a vibration. A vibration, it could be, for the sake of the nerdiness of this video, this could be on the subatomic level. Subatomic level, okay? Everything is vibration, everything is frequency, okay? This is your heartbeat in electrocardiogram, okay? So basically, this is electronically. And this is, for instance, when you breathe, your lungs. Expansion, contraction, okay? And that's basically a biological system, let's say. Biological system, if we think of your lungs. Biological system. Cool. My point is, what is the commonality of those three drawings? The subatomic level, the subatomic plane with a vibration, your heart, which electronically looks like this, and your biological system with your lungs, which expand and contracts. Well, all of those drawings have ups, and all of those drawings have downs. Okay? Life in of itself is up and down. The seasons are up and down. The up could be considered as summer, where everything blooms, everything is sunshiny, rainbow, and there is a field with life. And then the down could be symbolized with winter, death, right? Same thing with incarnation. You are first born and then you die. And then you're born again and then you die. And then you reincarnate and then you die again. The universe expands. It's been proven that it expands, and then it will contract. The Big Bang and then contracts, and Big Bang and contracts. Same thing with your heart. Your heart expands, boom. Put pressure for the blood to be flowing in your heart, in your body. Boom, boom, right? Even when you inhale and you exhale, expansion and contraction. So life, by definition, life is ups and downs. Okay? So you see, now we have three stuff that has been proven. Number one, everything happens for a reason. Okay? Number two, everybody in the human experience some kind of pain and suffering. And by definition, life is ups and downs. So you can chill the fuck down, understanding that it's all made on purpose, that you are struggling right now. That your soul, literally your soul, decided to incarnate to learn all of this, to experience the ups and the downs. It wanted the ups, it wanted the downs. And this also has been proven by the ancients of all, by three laws. The law of polarity, as we've discussed, right? Opposites are the same, there is opposite. Can you still see? Olivier, tu peux me dire si on voit là ou pas? Sur le retour. The law of vibration, on peut voir ou pas? Ok, parfait. Law of vibration and the law of rhythm. Oops, it's actually this one, like this. Rhythm, okay? The law of polarity means that there is opposites, okay? So in this case, it would be up and down. The law of vibration means everything vibrates, everything in the universe is vibration, so therefore there's ups and downs. And the law of rhythm means that there's ebbs and flows, right? Like waves, basically. Waves in the universe. So basically, there's always going to be ups and downs. It's by default, by definition. So if you're having a challenge right now, it's fine. It's meant to be. After the up, after the down, there's always an up. After the up, there's always a down. But that's part of life. And the goal for you is not to stay stuck in a time loop and in a challenge that keeps repeating itself over and over again. The goal is for you, as I told you, to transcend the next challenge and not having it go back and back and back and back and back and back in your life, because that means that you're not transcending it. If you have the same challenge over and over and over again, it means that you're not transcending it. When you're transcending the challenge, then you get the next level challenge until you transcend it again, etc., 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 right? This is how you grow, and this is what your soul wants. I'm sorry, spoiler alert, this is what your soul wants. It wants you to transcend the current challenge, to get to the challenge of the next level, and the next level, and the next level. And why is this so important? Well, basically, because as you transcend more challenges and more challenges and more challenges, what happens? Obviously, you upgrade your character. Like a video game, once again, the bigger bosses you fight, the stronger your character gets. The more you transcend your challenges, the more your avatar, human experience, upgrades as well. Your identity upgrades over and over and over again. Okay, your identity upgrades. Now, why is this so important? Because in quantum physics with the observer effect, they've proven that actually identity and reality are synonyms. So if you change your identity, you're going to change your reality. So the more you transcend those challenges, the more challenges you have, the more you can transcend them, the more you can elevate your identity, and therefore the better your reality will get. So I want you to try to reframe that in your mind. Basically, that challenges, I want you to try to reframe that in your mind. That challenges are actually a good thing, and that when you have challenges, it's a sign. Challenges, struggles, pain, whatever it is, I want you to see this as a sign that you are attracting a better reality. Attracting a better reality. Please reframe that in your mind, a better reality. And when you think about it, if you think about, like, for most of you who are watching this channel, because you're obviously anomalies, you're ambitious individuals, high performers, want to get to the next level. I have some very, very powerful people in my audience that are looking at those videos. But overall, these types of videos are for a niche audience of ambitious entrepreneurs or ambitious individual high performers. So by default, you have had great breakthroughs in your life. And when you look at, let's say, 5 years ago, or even 10 years ago, and then you compare it to the life that you have right now, remember that you used to pray for the life that you have right now back then. You used to pray for the freedom of your business. You used to pray for, I don't know, partners fighting for you. You used to pray about girls or men who would be obsessed with you. You used to pray of the money that you're making today. You used to pray of the friends that you have today. You used to pray of the health and the body and the jacked, shredded body that you have today. So remember, everything happens for a reason. Nothing, like, the universe is not a bad place. And by the way, again, to cite Einstein once again, he said another one of my very favorite quote, which is, the biggest decision you can make is decide if you are in a dangerous universe or a universe that wants your good. And to conclude, if there's one thing that NDEs, near-death experiences, have proven, is that God is unconditional love. And that unconditional love is actually your true state as a soul. Why do you truly think that Jesus, the more he ascended spiritually, the more loved, unconditionally loved he was? The more you struggle and the more deep the challenges that you transcend, the more loving you become over time. Except if you follow the wrong path and you don't transcend your challenges, then you end up on the wrong path of life. And then you will need to reincarnate in another life because you haven't transcended the challenges that your soul wanted you to experience and transcend into this life. Understand the game, understand the bigger picture. This time loop that I've spoken about in the previous drawing, right? This can happen in this lifetime, okay? This lifetime. But if you don't transcend this challenge, you will get it into the next lifetime, okay? In the next one, next lifetime, next life. So the sole purpose of life or of your soul is to transcend challenges. And that's why struggles, issues, and challenges, whatever they may be, physical, mental, spiritual, they're all a sign that you are going in the right direction. Because why? God is unconditional love. So he wouldn't put you through those challenges if it wasn't for your greatest good. God and the universe and the soul plane, is the superior dimension, gives you a context of, what I mean by context is like a synonym for a video game, context into which to experience the greatest depth, struggle, and the greatest depth. Okay? Why? Well, simply because you can only enjoy sun when there's been a lot of rain. You can only enjoy rain or rainy days when it's been hot and dry and you can't take the heat and the sun anymore. Okay? And it's the same thing at a bigger scale. Remember, the universe is holographic, meaning that whatever you can find in a macro, you can find in a micro. Whatever you can find in a micro, you can find in a macro. Why do you think we have galaxies in our eyes, or we have black holes in the middle of our eyes? Why do you think our veins is the same thing as leaves in tree, or in tree leaves, right? You can find all those mathematical patterns in the micro and in the macro. Why? Because the universe is holographic. So all of the stuff that you're living right now with the ups and downs, right? With the ups and downs in your life, you only love the up because you've transcended the previous down. And it's the same thing as a soul. Why did you decide to incarnate into this very dense dimension? By the way, one of my spiritual mentors, I asked him, but does that mean that the souls that decided to incarnate into this third dimensional realm as a planet Earth are very courageous? And he said, yes, indeed, they are. Because this dimension, this planet Earth, is extremely dense. And therefore, the more dense and the more you are able to suffer and transcend the pain and the challenge and stay disciplined throughout the pain and the challenge and transcend those problems, the more, when you come back to the soul plane, you will be able to elevate and ascend. Because the same thing, this can also be seen for the soul plane. This is you with a incarnation, with the very dense incarnation, right? Very incarnation, very down, let's say, right? Incarnation. And then when you come back up to the soul plane, then soul plane, it's like like the difference and the contrast makes it so beautiful. And all the NDEs, all the people that have had NDEs, near-death experiences, and the people have had OBEs, out-of-body experiences, they all say the same thing. When you come back to the soul plane and the light body spectrum, then it's like you were walking around your entire life for like several lifetimes with a 200 kilograms or 400 pound wet, tight overcoat on your shoulders, and then you finally can get it back out. That's kind of like the human analogy or human comparison, because all of them, they say that you can't really explain with human words because it's very, very limited, the human language and the human way of expressing yourself. It's very limited compared to the infinity of what is awaiting us on the higher planes. But all of this to say that God, because God is all unconditional love, it does all of this. It gives you the context for you to constantly upgrade your identity, to constantly upgrade your character. And that, my friend, is the only way for you to attract a better reality and for you to have better circumstances. At the end of the day, just to conclude, at the end of the day, life is about two paths. Okay? Life is about two paths. life is about two paths. The first path is the path of accomplishments. Path of accomplishments, right? You get all the supercars, you get the girls, you get the money, you get the human applause. But while you do this, if you do that everything correctly, the true path that your soul wants is the path of transcendence. This is the human growth, the human view, if you will. This is the soul view. And the moment you apply the soul view of every single challenge is actually you having a breakthrough for a better reality, you can get excited and you can have gratitude for the challenges that you have. And you can thank God for the chaos and the stress and the fucking explosions in your life. Physically, mentally, relationship-wise, financially, whatever. Because you know that at the end of the day, you had a soul contract, you decided to experience certain stuff in this third dimensional realm, specifically to transcend all the challenges, to grow as a soul. And as a bonus, you're able to have a lot of accomplishments as well in the human perspective. So remember, God loves you, and it's actually all of this is carefully designed. Everything happens for a reason. Everything is carefully mathematically designed for you to go through challenges over and over again until you transcend them and until you can get to the next level of identity to attract a better reality.